Hello, welcome to episode number 60 of CXOTalk. I am Michael Krigsman, and I'm here with my deliriously happy co-host, Vala Afshar. Vala.
Michael, thank you.
Are you deliriously happy today?
That's a wonderful introduction.
Are you deliriously happy?
I am happy because for episode number 60, we have one of the most extraordinary CIOs on the planet on our show. That's why I'm very happy.
And I am happy for the same reason. We are joined today by Oliver Bussmann, who is the Global CIO for UBS AG, one of the largest banks in the world. Oliver, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure, and I have to say I'm very happy to be on the show.
Well, Oliver, we have known each other for quite a number of years now, since you worked at SAP.
Yeah, I think our social media relationship is over 4 years. I think it feels like many years, and as you always say, activities on social media and interacting with you and Valor is, it's fantastic.
Well, we met on social media, and so it's exciting to be able to have this discussion with you.
And before you go, for most of you who may not know in the audience, Mr. Bussmann has been named by numerous publications as the top social CIO in the world. So, today as we get to that portion of our discussion, we're certainly excited to learn from truly one of the top, most collaborative CIOs across any industry. So go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, and definitely that's going to be something that we're going to talk about. I noticed I'm looking at my tweet stream right now, and I see Oliver has been tweeting within the last 4 minutes. So, Oliver, tell us briefly about your professional background and your role at UBS.
Yeah, I'm the Group Chief Information Officer at UBS, over almost 25 years in the IT business. Half of my time in the high-tech industry with IBM, with SAP, and the rest with banking industry, with Deutsche Bank, asset management with Allianz Global Investors, insurance also with the insurance arm of Allianz Group, and now with UBS.
And you have ran IT organizations in large technology companies, and now today in the banking industry. What are some of the differences that you see as the CIO from SAP to UBS today?
Yeah, I think the big difference is that high tech is not regulated so much, and there's a reason why the financial service industry is regulated, and so there are much more requirements in respect of data privacy, security, and procedures to follow, and so there is a little bit more effort to implement and make innovative IT changes happen.
So obviously that there must be very significant implications from an IT and a CIO perspective, therefore, between these two different industries.
Yeah, I think you have to you need controls, procedures in place to make sure that you in line with those regulatory requirements to avoid any production challenges, and from that perspective, the level of maturity to run the IT business in the banking industry is much higher than in the high tech because those requirements are not in place.
And does that translate to additional employee training and additional skill set tools and processes to ensure compliance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the way how you define procedures, the way how you follow up with controls, how you make sure that is in line with those regulatory requirements. There's significant effort in training, education of the IT organization and also the business to make sure that we stay in line with those requirements.
Does it limit you from working more with startups, or is that not necessarily a factor?
No, it's a factor because also the digitalization is moving in rapidly into the financial service industry. And if you look at the fintech startup community, it's growing rapidly across the different regions. If you look at the venture capital firms investing in that community, it's almost doubling compared to 2005. So there are a lot of interesting development across the retail business, across the wealth management business, that we are already working with certain startup firms and leverage their expertise. So I think if you talk about digitalization, working with startups, working with venture capital firms is one of the levers that you have to utilize to be successful in digitalizing processes, products in the banking world.
When you talk about digitalization, what does that mean to you? I mean, this whole concept of digital business transformation is a term that one hears, and there's no clear definition, and it seems whoever you talk to kind of makes it up on the spot. And so what does it mean for you? How do you view this issue?
First of all, it's a joint effort with business and IT. It's not a pure IT play. Because at the end is understanding what kind of disruptive technologies are out there and utilizing those IT innovations to digitalize processes, product, and then end up with a change of the way how you do business. So at the end, we have to think about what is the future business model, and then also what's the value proposition going forward. So if you start from a pure application layer, that's the wrong way to start. It's what kind of business processes or part of the value chain you want to automate to digitalize and provide a different user experience, and then think about what kind of products will be handled over that. That drives at the end a digitalization in the banking and financial service world.
And as the CIO, can you talk to us about your role specifically and perhaps your agenda in terms of digitalization as the person responsible for, all of IT at UBS?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, it is a very strong partnership with the business. Because at the end, for me, it's important. We have various business from asset management and wealth, retail, investment banking. And we have digital teams in those businesses with the IT teams embedded. And the key topic is, first of all, where is our business will be in 2020, 2040? What kind of customer expectation will change at that time, and how a business model will look like in 10, 20 years from now? So developing those plans and then also helping the business to work on the implementation. This is one of the responsibilities that I can see. I see IT is helping on and enabling the business. The second one is also providing access to research, access. What is available in the fintech environment. Open up ways to what's been available in those communities. Third is also access to venture capital firms. They have a pretty good understanding about what's going on in that startup community. What are the trends? The probability of those trends coming through. The fourth area is teaming up with universities. So we have set up projects with the university in Switzerland and other regions. And the fifth layer is talking about incubator. Incubator, there are startup communities that we already inject teams, kind of think tanks that work within a location. Like, for example, we are part of the Blue Line startup community in Zurich to work closely with those startups and learn from them immediately. So there are small teams embedded of that. So at the end is helping the business to define the agenda and drive, and then help them to get access what is available across the different channels. Channels from the startup community, venture capital, universities, startup environments, and make sure that across the various business that best practices are being shared and avoiding duplication.
So this implies a certain kind of relationship between IT and the business that's a very cooperative and a very collaborative relationship, which many organizations struggle with. So how can a CIO help drive that type of cooperative relationship when in many organizations the business side is very resistant and just looks at IT and says, oh, that's just infrastructure or help desk or what have you?
Yeah, first of all, I think part of the strategy that we developed last year, the focus is we have to be absolutely client-oriented and client-focused. So whatever we do should help our internal business or our businesses to be successful and transforming the business. So that means we spend a lot of effort from a relationship management perspective, understanding also the business strategy, where the business is heading, what are the challenges, how can we help them. I think that the understanding about the business from a strategy, process, and where they want to go is one of the critical success factors. And on top of that is to be a trusted partner as much as possible in sharing what's going on the IT side in a transparent way. So so moving away from a black box that IT is doing something behind closed door into what is possible and what are the challenges, etc. So again, the relationship piece and then also the effort to understand the business are critical.
So let's say we were going to draw a pie chart of Oliver Bussmann's monthly schedule, and you have a slice that represents time spent with your organization, and I believe you have a 7,000 to 8,000 large IT organization, if I'm not mistaken. An element of the pie chart speaks to collaborating and spending time with the different lines of business, marketing, sales, so on and so forth. And then the other piece is outside facing with, as you mentioned, universities, VC customers. Break that pie chart for us. How much of your time is spent internal versus external, and good advice to other CIOs?
Yeah, I think it's, and you're going through different phases if you take on a new assignment as a CEO. Definitely in the first phase, you focus heavily on reaching out to your business partners and businesses and try to understand what's the expectation, what are the strengths, the weaknesses, etc., and build that foundation. That's absolutely critical to develop that network. The same also mechanism I have to apply, and everybody has to apply also to build a network within the employee community. So developing a strategy is one thing from a content perspective, business buy-in, but then the organizational change management to reach out to 8,000 employees is critical. Most critical is last year. So I'm heavily using social media platforms internally, from blogging, polls, video, chat, etc., to make myself available and utilize entry points in those networks to spread the news. In addition, also to do coffee corner sessions. So something that we do globally, that all my management team members get information about important messages, and they do informal coffee conversation, which I do at least 1-2 times per month. So we're cascading also there. So there is a relationship, informal relationship between the managers and also different employee communities. So I would say the external piece at the beginning, I would say, is maybe limited to 10%, 20%. If you add maybe more of the strategic vendors, is a little bit more, maybe 30%. But the rest is heavily on the business and the employee side. But over time, if you mature, your organization gets stabilized, you see achievements, you see progress and transformation, the external portion increase. That means also that you meet UBS customers, analysts, etc., to share your experience, because that's a value also for our business, the investment banking business, to understand what are the IT trends, how this translates to business, etc. So that portion will increase over time. But again, taking on a transformation, a change, is the focus is more on understanding the business, understanding the employees, building a network as a starting point and a foundation.
So then would it be correct to say that a significant amount of your time is spent creating these relationships with various people inside the business?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that becomes the foundation on which you can accomplish the various goals and strategies that you were just describing.
Absolutely. Because again, if you have a strategy, if you change agenda, you have to talk. You have to you repeat. You have to be repetitive, because then people understand the message. The engagement level is going up, and because we cannot micromanage 8,000 people. So to follow that you get support, it needs a lot of communication effort, engagement effort, and over time that an organization understands and also embrace those changes.
So Oliver, is the real job of a CIO about relationships or about technology?
I think finding the right balance. I would say I think there's a combination of defining, where we be the IT organization in the next 2-3 years, finding good people to make this happen, engage with the different business and employee communities to get the buy-in, the full buy-in, and not also on the other side to make sure that you understand what's out there from a technology point of view, with vendors, with the startups, etc. And then you have to find good people to map those data points and develop a new value proposition from an IT perspective.
Can we talk a little bit about some of the demands of you and your organization from within UBS? What are you seeing in terms of, growing trends in technology, whether it's consumerization of IT-related trends or other initiatives that are now part of your 2014-15 technology roadmap?
Yeah, the trend definitely is, if I look at how we serve our customers, to provide a consumer experience. If I look at our investment towards the e-banking and mobile banking channel, increased significantly over the last 12 months, 18 months. There's a shift definitely that services that you maybe get through branches also, there's a clear demand also to provide this to mobile devices. We heavily invested in functionality and design and also user experience last year. We got several awards for best-in-class mobile apps and web application now, and we saw a peak increase of usage of our services over the last few months, almost over 50% user sessions, numbers of transactions. So there is a clear shift of that, and there will be an ongoing effort to understand which kind of services can be digitalized and be directly handed over or provided to the business. And it's not only the retail business, it's also the wealth management business, and also the investment banking, which is serving almost 5,000 institutional clients through those platforms to get access to research information, embracing social collaboration. So social is also something in close communities, also something that we see, that you follow certain experts in that community, you can interact, you can comment on that, and then still you can use this also to do business, transactional business. So what I'm saying is the typical mega trends from analytics, social, mobile, cloud is definitely also coming into, and it's already in the financial service industry.
Can I ask how many mobile devices do you have? And personally, I have a laptop, an iPad, and an iPhone, and I don't have a desktop machine, and I've been mobile 100% for several years now. So I'm curious, how many IP devices you have in your briefcase?
Yeah, I think I have multiple. I think I have an iPad, I have a Galaxy phone, Galaxy 5, Galaxy Note, and What else I have? The Google Nexus, the 7-inch. I think I'm looking into the new. I saw the new Samsung Galaxy S.
Okay, wow. So you're a typical super techie CIO.
I think, and I'm a big fan of these wearable devices. I'm a big fan of the Samsung Galaxy Gear Fit, and I think that's the future. I think if I see already that my wife has now total access during my business life, because I see messages from her now immediately on my
wow, wearable computing, multiple devices, and you had mentioned that you rode over 3,000 kilometers cycling last year. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that you're completely connected.
Yeah, and then my wife can track me on Facebook where I am on my bike, so I think everything is possible. No? So, no, I think there's a big change, and I think as a CIO, you have to explore that.
Sure.
Because different experiences, different functionality, and for example, now with the new devices, the wearable devices, I think question of time that I would say in the next 3-5 years, maybe the smartphones will disappear, because that functionality will be so small that you interact. Maybe there will be glasses as a different way how to interact with the information, and as a IT organization now, we are already thinking about, is there something that we can provide alerts on the device or something else? So and that's a topic that we also start doing, is kind of co-innovation spaces. So we have now free up investment to give business and IT teams the possibility to explore new devices, new software, new startup services, and think about what are potential use cases and benefits, and then if we believe that there's a strong case, we move it over in our traditional IT portfolio.
Sure.
So we need a space of exploring, figuring out is it worth or not, and then building that expertise. Because if we have that expertise, what's business doing and what's possible on the IT side, that drives at the end innovation.
Sure.
Connecting those dots.
Well, you were well on your way of being a spokesman for Samsung until you just said that smartphones are going to disappear in a few years. So
that's right. So you'll have to keep your job at UBS and not move to Samsung.
But we have a question from.
I'm device agnostic.
Yeah, that's right. We have a question from Twitter from Mr. Zachary Jeans, and Zachary asks, "What do you love about the role of being the CIO?"
Yeah, because my roles are I have many roles. One is the traditional role to be a functional CIO, and that means you have to keep your house in order from how you run your data centers, your applications, how you run your vendor portfolio, everything that you can measure, and that's absolutely foundation. For the second part is understanding the business strategy to enable them to transform the business and sitting at the same table. The third one is the innovation topic, is to identify what are the trends out there and how can those disruptive innovation topics be embedded in your product and service lifecycle, so become even more strategic. So that's a fascinating part. To play those different roles, and you have to balance that. You can do a lot of work on innovation if the foundation from a availability point of view is not working. So that's something that we should never forget, is that house has to be in order, and then the value from a transformation and innovation project will come through. So that is always that I have to keep in mind, and depending on in which phase you are in the transformation, you spend more time at the beginning on those functional topics, but at the end, I'm already working on the other topics, and this will over time will shift and increase. But again, you have to fully understand where you are with your organization in that life cycle, and then depending on that, you shift your time spent and also priorities.
It's interesting. We recently spent time with the senior IT executives at Intel. and they have a pyramid, which they call it different terminology, but it parallels what you just described very closely. And one of the things I wonder, actually, I was giving on a panel the other day, giving a talk, and one of the questions that came up was about metrics. And it's pretty clear at the foundation level, that operational level, the metrics are going to be traditional IT metrics, things like uptime and user sessions and so forth. But as you climb that value chain and you're delivering some more strategic partnership and then innovation and collaboration with the business, how do you measure it? What are the metrics and the measurements and the definitions of success that you can apply?
I would say for me, success is that the organization generates a lot of ideas, innovation ideas that you start to explore, and there are differences. I can say, there are certain businesses that are very eager, and you see the volume of ideas really bubbling up. And then I would say also you measure success on how many of them are going into the traditional implementation portfolio. And then you measure also, from a revenue and business growth perspective, what's the impact on that too.
Sure.
So I could easily did this in my previous job as SAP, see how many ideas we embrace with those co-innovation spaces, how many ideas we then implemented in production, because the idea of the innovation space is not to put it in production, it's really to explore. Sure. And then how many in production, and then you could see how much revenue you could generate out of that.
Sure. So you have a multi-level way of looking at it, and so therefore you're going to need a multifaceted set of measures.
Yeah, because at the end, and also if you have that expertise, for example, we have expertise also to share our knowledge now with the investment banking arm that we do, going to conferences, share experiences with analysts, with institutional customers, clients. You build more of those kind of knowledge and expertise. This becomes even a bigger value. Again, depending on where you are in your life cycle of your organization.
Sure. We have another question from Twitter, but before we ask the question, Shel Israel, who a Forbes contributor, co-authored a book about contextual intelligence with Robert Scoble, made a comment, perhaps we will wear phones like Band-Aids. We'll use voice commands and they'll be biodegradably disposable. So that's from Mr. Israel. But the question from David Chow, who's an extraordinary CIO of one of the largest hospitals in the U.S., asks, will the banking industry become completely self-service with the advances in mobile technology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think, but you see more and more services being available through those channels. But the key point is, what is the additional value that can you generate over that? So I think there's different ways to, first of all, to consume and access information. Because the challenge for our banking customer is you have so much market information. What is the best information, the level of information that you want to do to get informed and make decisions? That's, for example, one of the topics that I see as a major change. The other one is to, based on your profile, on your risk profile, on your goals, is to come up with the right recommendation. So at the end, that the client advisor has more time for personal interaction. So those are big changes that I can see, that not only the typical transactional business will be shifted over to mobile devices, but there are additional services that only is available through the mobile, combined with, I believe, also the social component, that you will see that you will interact with other clients in a social community, and I would say social training, that you could potentially, for example, follow certain investments, etc. So there is a significant change in the way how you do banking business today and also going forward.
I'd like to ask you something, switching gears a little bit. I talk with CIOs and IT organizations who are really good. They're smart people. They're very good, and they want to have the kind of partnership and collaboration with the business side that you're describing, but the business just is not willing to prioritize IT, so they're perpetually understaffed. They don't have the resources, and as a result, they underdeliver because they're just swamped. Mm-hmm. And they want to do a better job and go higher on that value chain. It's a really tough situation. I think there's a lot of CIOs who are in that position. What advice do you have for those folks who kind of want to follow in your footsteps and are just...
Yeah, I think if that can happen, that you have a partner that has other priorities and doesn't want to spend so much on IT. I think you have to find in those organizations people that are excited about one topic, and you invest in those maybe small projects and make it a success. So build that trust, and people can see that. So it means finding the right topic, finding a partner on the business side that get excited. And again, I'm not talking about big topics. And then talk about that you communicate the success and spread the news, and then that builds trust. Now, the topic that I've been many times is with mobile devices. We started small in my previous job, and then there was a huge demand at the end, and so you have to try sometimes topics that you believe there's a potential, and you explore but again, finding somebody in an organization, maybe sometimes is one person is enough on the business side to do that, and then and celebrate that success. That's critical, and then people will follow.
And what is your specific method of teaching and mentoring an incredibly large organization of 8,000? You mentioned blogging, you mentioned coffee chats. Yeah. Are there other processes and tools that you have found to be impactful in terms of teaching IT how to deliver value?
I think first of all, you have to manage various communication channels. So you have to look at the different communication channels and pick what is the best one to send your message. From email, from blogs, chat, town halls, coffee corner session, etc. Working with the communication guys, organization. That's absolutely critical. That you get a sense what's the best channel to get the message across. Then I would really also recommend, if you talk about also getting close to the business, invite the business to be part of that communication. Be on stage with the business. Invite the business leaders on that and share also the business strategy. And that's important. It's almost, for me, important if I have my manager calls that I share what are the quarter results of UBS. How's the strategy, the business strategy, how successful implementing UBS is doing that, what are the key learnings out of the marketplace, providing even feedback from analysts, financial analysts about the results of UBS. So understanding the business results and where the bank is going is absolutely necessary in our business. And it's not only here, it's also in my previous job. Embracing that, I think it'd be critical, because the IT organization with the strategy should be always connected what's going on in the business. So there is a connect for all employees in IT, where the bank is heading, how this is translated into the IT world, and what's my role to contribute to the success of IT and then also to the business.
When you are hiring people, to what extent is their ability to go beyond technology and to understand the business a criteria or a factor?
It's a big factor, because I'm a believer, because as a manager, I would say, as I said, 40-50% of my time is interaction, communication. So my experiences is I prefer somebody who is very strong also from the social skills, soft skills, and sure, absolute technical skill is necessary, but sometimes if you only focus on that, you're going nowhere. So my preference is somebody who is a team player, be part of the IT team, is able to leverage the different expertise in the IT organization and is able to communicate and manage the relationship to partners, vendors, and the business.
That's fantastic. So I know that you must have a lot of challenges in terms of delivering to what the sales organization needs. I know even in a technology company, leading the marketing function at Extreme, one of my key customers and stakeholders is the sales organization. Can you talk about, how technology is morphing the requirements and the needs of the sales organization and how IT at UBS is delivering value to the field?
Yeah, I think, the key, if you're in a banking business, important is your investment investment performance. It's all about, can you help your client at the end to be successful in growing your estate? And IT here can help because we're talking about millions of data, of portfolio data, because you invest in different asset classes, different region, etc., and understanding those portfolio data, and then matching this to the strategy of the chief investment officer, and providing guidance to the client and to the client advisors here, that helps a lot to generate alerts, to trigger discussion and meetings that couldn't happen before because the client advisor would spend much more time on analyzing those data that now the IT organization can provide with the insight of the big data. And so there is a shift definitely going on to help the client advisor to leverage what we have of information, historical data, and what's going on from the external market perspective, and leverage the strategies that the investment officer are defining and see if there's a match, is there deviation, and that triggers a lot of input for discussion with our clients.
We have another question from Twitter. You can see we prioritize the questions as they come in from Twitter.
Good.
This is from Eileen Butler, who asks, can you share thoughts on how cloud is changing the relationship between IT and the business?
Yeah, I think in general, the cloud business is changing the IT delivery model. There's definitely what you see is that business function in the support area from HR, from procurement perspective, service management, commodity services that the cloud topic, the cloud services can standardize to the maximum, because as a cloud provider you maybe allow 3% of deviation to your cloud services, so it drives discipline in those support functions to follow those services. At the end, the expertise required on the IT side is shifting towards understanding the business processes, understand the business, how this can reflect it in the services, plus the end-to-end architecture, data security, data management are areas of expertise that are becoming more important in the cloud environment. So at the end is, your business expertise in relationship to your business will become more and more important to survive in the cloud business.
Sure. We started our interview today talking about the fact that you have been named by multiple publications as the top social CIO in the world, based on your collaboration, size of your network, and the frequency in which you engage with your audience. In fact, both Michael and I met you through social collaboration, and I've learned so much from you. Why invest so much of your time on social media and being a collaborative business leader?
Yeah, I think you have to we have to differentiate between my social engagement inside my organization and outside, and you go also different cycles here. My key learning with social media internally is whatever we see externally as a consumerization of IT is coming also inside. So whatever we see on Facebook, Twitter, those kind of principles are also now inside an organization, and leveraging the way how you cascade information, how you make yourself accessible, and that's a different change of management style. Now, in previous years, very hierarchically, it was hard to reach out to certain people, get access on that. That's possible now that people can ping me over our social media platform, our connection, we call it, and sometimes also employee ping me over my social media platforms on Twitter or LinkedIn, send me messages, try to engage with me. So that's for me a change of management culture, that you make yourself accessible for ideas, feedback, because I'm learning every day, and part of that learning is that I get feedback in a constructive way from my working environment. And the other thing is, if you go through a transformation, you transform the organization and you spend a lot of time in communicating and changing the organization. You reach a certain limit, and it takes a while to get there. But then also my experience is your external communication will help also to boost your internal change. So as a CIO, it's important that you share your experiences outside, what are the key learnings, etc., and this will also come back into your organization. And to understand that is then also the position of the CIO gets another value also to share this to the outside world. And again, the social media platform like LinkedIn, Twitter gives you that platform. And I was amazing for me to go from few followers on Twitter to almost 11,000, 15,000 on LinkedIn, is building that community. Right. And even the last 12 months I did less social activities because I'm focusing on internal, and that will continue, because again you have to understand in which phase you are. Gave me still access to recommendation links that I would never get through the traditional media.
Right.
Not like following you, Valer, and Michael. You always point to good sources of information that has a huge value for me, and I'm flagging those, I store this information, and I reuse that in my job. So it's part of my communication habit and behavior now.
But this requires, thank you for the kind words, and the feeling, of course, is mutual. But this requires as well a change in the relationship to the established communication organization. Historically, we had an executive and we had the outside world, and in between we had global communications. And today there's the power to go to bypass that middle section entirely. So how do you manage that, especially in such a large organization as yours?
No, I think you work together with communication, because I think there are certain rules also in the high-tech industry that you have to follow, how you engage with your employees and also with the outside world. And depending on the industry, there are sometimes different rules, and there are certain bandwidths that you can maximize, and you follow that. And with that, the organization is learning, and then over time, sometimes you expand that bandwidth that you can utilize. And that's important, that you fully understand where you are, in which organization, industry, etc. Understand what are the rules of engagement and communication. You inject slowly some changes, ideas. For example, bringing the social media platform for blogging, chatting into the UBS organization was for me an important step, and now you see other leaders embracing that. That was not maybe possible 2 years ago.
Sure. Certainly when you were at SAP, you and folks like Jonathan Becker and others, incredibly social. And do you have a sense today what percentage of your IT organization has embraced and practiced collaboration outside of UBS?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Sure.
It's not comparable because high tech is also spreading the news, no? Because they're also are master in utilizing social media. If you look at the SAP community, almost 3 million users, and giving them access to resources, information, etc., and they're spreading that and they're motivating that. It's hard to compare this with other industries because it's part of their go-to-market. Huh?
Sure. And what advice would you give to CIOs who are looking to start? I know you're active on, as you said, Twitter and LinkedIn and other social platforms. Where should they start? And are there any best practices that you can share with other CIOs? I think
on SlideShare there's a presentation also on LinkedIn. If you go my blogs on LinkedIn, what are the steps to become a social CIO? And there are several steps. One is to establish yourself, to build a social brand on those platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn. To first of all follow like you, Michael, and then you expand and you watch and learn, and you secondly absorb information that you can use for your day-to-day life. The second topic is you start commenting on those Twitter messages, etc., and so it drives the engagement level up. And the fourth one is you contribute. Contributing, you write blogs on LinkedIn, on other platforms, and point to those information, and so you give back to the community. And so it's a give and take at the end. You learn, you get a lot of feedback, information out of your network, but on the other side, it's important to also share what you do, what's your view on certain topics. Again, there are certain rules to follow, not that how you share information, how you comment on that. But again, over time, you build that confidence because a lot of CIOs are afraid of to be active on Twitter, and over time you learn what you can do and what not.
Michael, did you hear that beginning? Did you hear the beginning of that advice to follow Michael and Vala on Twitter? I don't know if you heard that.
I did.
Okay.
And Oliver, we appreciate that.
That might be the title. That might be the title of my blog.
I like that.
When we do the summary. Oliver Bussmann, follow Vala and Michael.
Well, I can't believe that we are in the fortunate position to be receiving social media advice from the global CIO of UBS AG, one of the largest financial services organizations in the world. And unfortunately, this conversation could go on for another hour,
easily.
But it is that time. So,
it's been an honor and a privilege. I've been following you for years, and it doesn't matter if you're in IT or any other line of business. Do yourself a favor and follow Mr. Oliver Bussmann, because he is truly one of the top CIOs on social media. So it can only help you grow as an individual and as a professional. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, Oliver, thank you so much. And Vala, this has been a pleasure seeing you again.
It's been yes, thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You have been watching episode number 60 of CXOTalk. Our wonderful guest has been Oliver Bussmann, who is the global CIO of UBS. I hope you'll join us next week when our guest will be Jeanette Horan, who is the CIO of IBM. So thank you so much for watching, and come back next time. Bye-bye.